I think that the nature itself is a perfect example on circular economy. Non-human ecosystems are truly following this main principle that everything is reused, everything is repurposed, everything has a function and no waste is generated. When this is translated to materials engineering and biomaterials engineering, it really makes a huge contribution to materials bioeconomy.
While well-managed forests are a prerequisite for any large-scale use of biomass, the next step is equally crucial: using this precious raw material in a sustainable manner.
Sustainable is something that can actually, it's not depleted over time. That's basically what it is. So we'll be able to maintain or even increase that supply. So rather than making things poorer, we should be able to replenish. And I think from my sort of perspective, that is the definition of sustainable. So we can pass it on to the next generation that just keeps on giving and giving more than it gave before.
Making new high-value products does not mean we should harvest more trees. The idea is to produce more value from less raw material.
This entails that we use all the fractions efficiently, not only the cellulose. So biomass includes, in addition to cellulose, hemicellulose, extractives, and lignin.
Our planet is facing unprecedented challenges caused by our over-reliance on fossil-based resources. Reducing consumption is one of the most efficient tools to divert from petrochemicals. However, we inevitably need materials now and in the future. The question is, how should we make them and from which raw materials?
Plants are material banks. They are an endless inspiration for materials engineering when looking at the building blocks, looking at the structures, plant cell wall structure and plant cell wall function. And this I would call like bio-inspired materials engineering. The idea is not only to replace the fossil resources, but use this bio-inspiration to create new, novel material solutions that doesn't even exist yet.
One such application has been developed for the fight against microplastics pollution. This invisible enemy is threatening life in its all forms, and we're only starting to understand its effects. At FinnCERES, a research group led by Professor Tekla Tammelin developed a nanocellulose-based membrane that is able to capture the smallest nano-sized particles that are particularly difficult to remove otherwise.
So it conveys the water inside its structure, and surprisingly, this water flux is so strong that it can actually convey the microplastic particles inside the network structure.
These membranes could help scientists all over the world to make accurate measurements on the quantities of nanoparticles in different water systems. In fact, one of the major culprits of microplastic pollution is polyester clothing. Sadly, it is also the fastest growing textile fiber on the market, as cotton cultivation has suffered severely due to climate change. Wood-based cellulose as a raw material can offer a solution to this challenge. Currently, Finland hosts 6 new technologies to produce bio-based textile fibers. The Spinnova, Kura, Infinna, IonCell, Norratex and BioCell Sol fibers are all contributing with their unique approach to a microplastic-free fashion industry. Other major environmental issues caused by the fashion industry are the dye pollution and the water consumption linked to dyeing. 99% of all dyes are based on fossil-based raw materials.
Most of the dye with the synthetic dyes is not absorbed on the fiber, so it's lost to the effluents, and the effluents are then released to the rivers and lakes, and that is leading to the environment problems.
Finding sustainable non-polluting alternatives is a high priority.
So we are developing bio-based dyes from existing side streams and also from fast-growing crops to provide one option to replace the synthetic dyes. We have been working with tree barks, such as with willow, and then with Isatis tinctoria, that is dyer's wood, and it's producing indigo, the common dye used for dyeing jeans.
Bio-based dyes are not only non-toxic, but they can also have additional benefits.
So the beauty of these bio-based dyes is that you can get also the color, but you can also functionalize the fibers. You can get the antimicrobial properties and then antioxidant activity and sunlight protection.
Another major culprit of emissions is plastic packaging. In spite of our best efforts, over 70% of all plastics globally end up in the environment and landfills. Recycling alone will not solve the problem, and our food systems rely on long shelf life. Therefore, novel packaging innovations based on natural fibers will play an important role in the green transition. Foam forming is one of the technologies that will have a huge impact on future packaging.
We have had a kind of major breakthroughs during the last few years. So we, instead of just distributing fibers randomly, as has been done for 2,000 years, we can now use, for instance, aqueous foams to have a designed distribution of fibers in the structs, which greatly improves the material efficiency. So we may get more out from, let's say, less of the material.
The cellulose foams are highly tunable, and the properties of the foam can be adjusted according to different needs. Stiffness and lightweightness can be achieved through optimizing the architecture of the foam matrix.
Then you have a certain type of bubbles in the foam, and you can change their size, and the bubbles push the fibers and make nice little walls, kind of compartments in the material.
These fully recyclable and repulpable foams can be used in various types of packaging, but also as insulation material in buildings. The technology enables highly efficient use of raw material at an extreme as low as 5 kilograms per cubic meter. In packaging, nanocellulose can also replace plastic films.
It is transparent, it is flexible, and I think that the most importantly, it has its kind of inherent ability to block oxygen transmission, which means that the oxygen is not entering inside the package, which is then preventing the full food spoilage, for example.
Apart from using cellulose to higher value products, lignin offers tremendous opportunities in materials engineering.
Lignin makes up 20 to 30% of the biomass, and only from pulping alone, over 50 million tons of lignin annually is produced as a side stream from the pulping industry. And this is mainly burned today for energy. But I think this is a waste of a great material that could be used much more efficiently.
In a recent study, scientists at Aalto University have been able to make fully bio-based carbon fiber using the ion cell textile fiber together with lignin. Although it is not suitable for the most demanding carbon fiber applications, there is a huge market opportunity for this new bio-based material.
For applications like in a car, for instance, to replace certain metallic parts in car with lightweight carbon fiber composites, carbon fibers made from biomaterial would fulfill these requirements and could offer a solution to it.
Soon, on a commercial scale, lignin will enter the energy storage market by providing a bio-based hard carbon electrode in lithium-ion batteries, which not only replaces the fossil raw material, but gives the battery superior technical properties. Another emerging area for lignin is to use it to replace formaldehyde and phenolic compounds in adhesives and coatings. Professor Monika Österberg's group at Aalto University has developed a groundbreaking innovation for lignin valorization.
We take the technical lignin as we get it from the pulp industry, and we dissolve it in an organic solvent. We pour this dissolved lignin into water, and due to these molecular interactions between the lignin and the different solvents, they spontaneously form spherical particles. And this makes it very easy to use, and this enables us to use it in traditional applications like adhesives, protective coatings, or composites.
In trees, lignin acts as a glue in the cell wall. This property can be utilized to create bio-based strong adhesives. Replacing fossil-based compounds in construction materials, like plywood or fiberwood, can make these large volume materials recyclable.
And it would be good if we could replace as much as possible of these chemicals with, for example, lignin. Because when you have made these coatings of phenol and formaldehyde and glues as well, you can't really do any recycling. So if we could instead use biomaterials, we would have the benefit of not using synthetic polymers and the benefit of there actually being a biomaterial there. So basically we would draw carbon from the air that would be trapped first in the trees, and then we would trap them in products.
Lignin can also be used as a natural antimicrobial compound. In recent studies, it has shown effectiveness against MRSA, the so-called hospital bacteria. Trees also produce thousands of other compounds called extractives, which constitute only of about 2% of the dry weight of trees, but their potential is immense.
Extractives are the small fraction of molecules which actually are taking part to protect living organisms and plants and trees for different type of external stresses. And these stresses can be, for example, the microbial attack. It can be the UV irradiation and other type of oxidative stresses. And I would say that this feature can be again translated into the man-made materials.
In a recent study at the Natural Resources Institute of Finland, LUKE, the natural ability of extractives has been harnessed against human viruses like COVID-19. Extractives and lignin are not the only fractions suitable for medical use. Cellulose itself has surprising benefits in numerous applications.
When thinking about nanocellulose, we can go even step beyond. We are going towards life-sustaining materials. They are biocompatible, but they are also life-sustaining materials, which means that they can actually enhance growth of living cells. And this is a feature which can be utilized in many biomedical applications.
A great example of this can already be found on the market. UPM's Fibdex, a wound dressing material for healing severe skin burns. Yet one of the most surprising medical applications of cellulose is using it in optical fibers for laser surgery in cancer treatment.
Generally, when you think about optical fiber, you think about glass optical fibers. And that's just because it is extensively used in telecommunication. But they are also being used for biomedical application such as localized laser surgery. So that means you don't have to introduce some special surgical device. Instead, you just shine with a laser. But one of the biggest problems in the glass optical fiber is that they are brittle. And they are brittle at the same time they will damage the cells.
The lignocellulosic building blocks can be used to replace plastics, but perhaps more importantly to create entirely new materials that are lighter, recyclable, use less energy to produce, and promote the overall well-being for people, the environment, and society.
I think this is again all about learning from nature. I think that this is again all about ecosystems where the multiple players are working towards a certain balance and certain understanding. And we should be able to transfer our innovations into well-being and prosperity without compromising, for example, the ambitious targets to mitigate the climate change. And also we need to consider all the aspects related to biomass resource sufficiency and also on biodiversity. And I think that the only way to do so is have these well-functioning networks joining the forces and working together.